Mentioned that we're not doing much as far as sides. It is difficult this week in the NFL, but if you're in contest, let's say you got to pick 5 of them. But we talk about live dogs every week. Now, with these point spreads that are kind of being all over the place, with that, you're going to find some dogs that are much higher than you would ever see. And with that, you see the money lines moving in that same direction with these double-digit point spreads. Are you tempted by any monster underdogs to just take a shot? Because, I mean, do you really know? They have to post a number. We're not quite sure exactly how these coaches are going to handle it. But, I mean, do you really know? Are you going to take a look at any of these long shot dogs and take a shot? Because, you know, in this league, it's tough to project.
Long shot dogs? Not going to take 335 New Orleans as a 14-point dog. No.
Okay.
That will not happen. So can we get to – I know we've talked a lot about Seattle and Geno and the incentives, and the Rams aren't playing their quarterback and running back. Geno does love throwing picks, and Geno likes keeping games close. Rams to win? Maybe.
I'm taking a look at last year, and it's a sample size of 1 week, but I was just curious how the numbers went. Looking at the dogs that did cover, how many of them won? Okay. So we've got Jets Patriots. They were a 2.5-point dog. They won in New England, 17-13. Tennessee Jacksonville. Tennessee, a 3.5-point home dog. They won outright as plus 3.5. Arizona covered, did not win as a dog. Let's see. Kansas City was a 3.5-point dog against the Chargers, and the Chiefs still won. That's interesting because, you know, they were sitting everybody, and it was fine. Giants. They ended the year last year against the Eagles. They're a 5.5-point dog at home, and then they win. They win to close the season against the Eagles. LA Rams, 5.5-point dog. They win at San Francisco, even with the backup quarterback. So as we sit here and talk about some of these backups, some of them are going to win. And we're going to be shocked that it happens. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. All the backups were playing, then they still won. Well, they still have the same coach. And a lot of the coaches talked about this last week. Dan Campbell talked about it as well. So did Belichick. He was doing some media stuff. The idea of sitting guys is all fine and well. But if you go down that road, what did McVay say? All right, I'll probably sit Stafford. I'll sit Kyron Williams, Kupp, and Puka. Okay. You can't really bench anybody else. There's only
7 guys,
6 guys
right?
that you can really bench.
6 or 7
6
guys. So it's not really that big of a deal, and they have receivers. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson and Atwell, they go deep at receiver, and also the play calling and the schematics help a lot in Los Angeles. I think what you have to look for, backup quarterbacks you can trust, and to me it's Garoppolo and Wentz. I do trust Wentz. I mean, not as a starter to win a Super Bowl, but as a backup to beat a football team on a random Week 18 game. Yeah, I trust Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one bucket, backups you trust. The other bucket is stupid organizations. And I think a team, if you're looking for a long shot dog that probably wouldn't win this game if it mattered, but because it doesn't matter, could win, and they're stupid enough to try and win this game and build momentum, Chicago. Like, Chicago's dumb enough to go into Green Bay and win this game. They're so dumb. And the Packers, what are the Packers playing for? They're in the playoffs. They're going on the road no matter what. They're not going to host a home game. And that number, I mean, the look-ahead number was what? Like 3.5, 4? And now we're out to 10. That money line price on Chicago is too high. It's too high.
There is a big difference, but the thing is with Green Bay, it's not all up to them. It's up to some other teams and what happens with their games. So you don't want to be the 7. There is a chance that they're the 7 and you've got to go to Philly. You don't want that. You want to be the 6 if you're the Packers. They're the 6 if they win and Washington loses. So you need some help there. If they're the 6, they're going to visit the Rams or the Bucks. That is a big difference than visiting the Eagles. So what are they going to do? I'm not positive, but I would want to win that game if I'm the Packers. Doesn't necessarily mean cover the point spread of double digits. Bears are a dumpster fire. They're all just waiting for the vacation to start. Man, they are dumb, but that's not one that I would circle just because the Packers will want to win this game, because you don't want to start the playoffs going to the Eagles. You don't want that. Give me Tampa Bay or the LA Rams instead of that. Let me throw another one at you. And I'm kind of looking, these double-digit numbers are there for a reason. And those would be very surprising to me. Are we sure the Chargers want to win? Are we sure they're going to go all out? The line moved because people were listening to what Jim Harbaugh had to say. We're going to play to win. We're going to play to win. We always play to win. It's a very general statement. I wouldn't make a bet based off of that statement. The Chargers will be the 5 or the 6. Is there a big difference? They're the 5 if they win and Pittsburgh loses. Then they go to Houston. You'd much rather have that. And they're the 6 if they lose or if Pittsburgh ends up winning. So Pittsburgh's probably not going to win, right? It's tough, but that's what the number is saying to us. But it's really out of their control. And on the other side, you've got a coach trying to win. Pierce is trying to save his job. So is Herbert going to be out there? Here's what I do know, Sam. When you look at that practice report to start the week on Wednesday, McConkey's not practicing. Palmer not out there. Gus Edwards is not practicing. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Harbaugh's definitely going to go for it because he said we play to win. Of course he's going to say that. Maybe the Raiders are here live, divisional matchup at home, and the Chargers are just prepping for the playoffs.
Raiders 2-1 you could find.
Mm-hmm.
That's another team that I put in the bucket of dumb organizations that have really nothing to play for, but they've won the last 2 games. They were talking about 2 weeks ago, I'm in Vegas doing a radio show. They're talking about the number 1 pick. Who are we going to take? Who are we going to take? Then they win the next 2 games. They are stupid. They're in that bucket with Chicago, with the Giants, teams that are just so stupid that they find ways to put things like where they shouldn't be. Like Chicago should lose this game 38-0. But they're dumb enough to go out there and try and play hard and play to win the game, even though they haven't won a game since, week 7 or whatever. And the reason that I went to the Green Bay number is because I'm looking at these money line prices. And
high.
I know that you can't correlate college and pro to an exact number, but Texas was almost a 14-point favorite against Arizona State, and Texas was about a $5 favorite. In the NFL, Green Bay is a 10-point favorite, and they are minus 500. So to me, the math ain't mathin' on Green Bay. But they're making these prices on teams like Green Bay that much higher because they know that people are going to put them in moneyline parlays. So it's not that I love Chicago, but I look at the number that probably should be $3.30, $3.40, and it's $4. So that's what I was getting at. Not so much that I love Chicago or that Green Bay, is going to lay down and die. It's all math. And I don't think Green Bay should be minus 500. They're probably going to win, Joe, but I'm not at minus 500. That's a little too steep for me.
I hear you. Doug Peterson and Jacksonville. They're a dumb organization. They're a 5-point dog at the Colts divisional matchup. The Jaguars have a winning record in the division this year. The Jaguars might be worth something. Doug, one last Hail Mary to try and save his job in Jacksonville. That could be worth a look. And then there's a story 2 weeks ago when Michael Penix was favored by so much as a rookie quarterback. And now coming off the loss, he's favored by more than a touchdown against Carolina. Should Michael Penix be favored by more than a touchdown? I know Carolina's defense is trash, but the Panthers are saying that they're playing their starters. That seems a bit rich.
It sounds like You like a lot of these dogs, and you're going to make a
Well,
lot of bets week 18.
No, we also have to fill the segment, so that's part of it.
It's
We
so
have to
funny because
talk.
I'm like, I'm going to make 2 bets in week 18, and you're like, what about this dog? How about this dog?
Let's see. What would it take for you to play Kansas City?
I'd play Kansas City.
What's that number? 10.5? You said it's going to 11?
You can take Chiefs money line right now plus 450 at a couple places.
Did you ever think you'd utter that sentence?
Would it surprise you if they won?
Nope. Not for a second.
Nope.
They still have that strong defense. I know Chris Jones obviously not going to play. But again, you can only sit so many guys. Man, see, I hate this. This is what we're doing now. Let's take this these 2 10-point dogs on the money line.
My favorite dog. My favorite
18.
dog, though, of the week, Minnesota.
Love it. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
Money
wait for
line.
that game. Super high total.
Buddy.